Hello everyone, my name is Cristobal Garcia. I am currently a master's student for the College of Professional Studies at Northeastern University. Thank you for checking out my case study presentation regarding the educational system of a foreign nation. For this particular case study, I have chosen to research the educational system created by the nation of India. In my presentation, I will cover the structure of the overall educational system in the Indian Union territories. In trying to focus on this system as a whole, we will also be looking at one of the contemporary issues that it contends with, as well as the problems that arise from this particular issue. More important than becoming aware of this issue, my presentation will also highlight what action is being taken to provide practical solutions for it. This case study presentation was created for the course EDU 6450, Globalization of Education, taught by Dr. Burkhardt. This course emphasized how interconnected the world has become and how the actions of a single nation can have a global influence. For this reason, the last topic that will be covered in my presentation is what effect does the Indian educational system have on the United States? So let's begin. The nation of India is composed of various union territories. These union territories operate relatively independent of each other, following only the orders of the central government. To frame this in a familiar perspective, this is similar to the setup of the United States government, wherein we have individual states, for example, California and Massachusetts. Both of these locations have their individual state government with its own rules and regulations that are adapted to the needs of the location, but ultimately both states respond to the larger federal government that holds control over all the states. Focusing solely on education when we look at India, the overall education system of the Union Territories is managed by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, specifically its Department of School Education and Literacy. Through this department, the Government of India is able to oversee the various policies and practices across its various Union territories. The thing to keep in mind about India is that it is still considered a developing country, so there is much work that needs to be done in order to ensure that the educational needs at the local community levels are met. These needs can range from a supportive infrastructure that can sustain a school building to finding educators that can meet with students and teach them through a proper academic curriculum. Down at the community level, we can explore exactly what the average educational career looks like for young children. On average, the educational pipeline of India involves students navigating through a basic elementary school curriculum, followed by a secondary education. This secondary education would be the equivalent to the US high school level grades. It is important to note that secondary education is the section where many students of rural areas begin to drop out, either due to lack of funds to continue their education or find the courses too rigorous for them to pass. Despite these obstacles, the goal of the Department of School Education and Literacy is to make education available to everyone and encourage students to pursue higher education. The recommended path set by this department has students follow a pattern of 10, 2, 3. Students are expected to complete 10 years of a combined elementary and secondary education. In this stage, students are supposed to develop a strong background in their academics that will prepare them for college level coursework. Following the completion of their general schooling, students are encouraged to enroll in junior college, which offers students the opportunity to gain technical skills that would increase their chances of getting a job after graduation. If students decide to pursue a degree, such as a bachelor's, they would then transfer to a university and continue their studies for an additional 3 years. This trend is fairly common for those students that would have educational pursuits beyond technical training. Yet one has to wonder, why are students not enrolling in a university right after their time in secondary school? The fact of the matter is actually exposing an interesting issue. As I mentioned earlier, India is still finding it an obstacle to provide equal access to education for many of its citizens. Due to location or lack of funding, many children are left without the opportunity to receive a formal education. However, those that do manage to enroll in school and meet the requirements for college admissions find that they are in competition with many other overqualified students. This means that a student could have nearly perfect scores in all of their secondary courses, but when applying for a college or university, they can be denied admission due to lack of space. The competition for admissions has become so fierce at the higher education level that many students have found it easier to enroll in some of the most prestigious colleges and universities located in the United States. In most cases, those that do enroll in some of the Indian universities are students from affluent backgrounds that have the funding to pay for additional academic support that makes them more competitive college applicants. This pressure to not only hold the finances necessary to attend school, but also excel in the initial elementary and secondary levels of education will often leave many students to think that higher education is something reserved exclusively for the social elite. In an effort to make education more accessible to the general public, the Indian government sought to take away one of the largest barriers that prevented students from attending class at the elementary level. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act of 2009 created a large step forward in education rights. This action has made education free of charge for children of ages 6 to 14. By removing this barrier, parents no longer have to make the decision as to whether they can afford to send their student to school. Tackling the issue of elitism, some schools are taking individual action towards the educational system that shows favored bias towards people of affluent backgrounds. Educator Sonam Wangchuk noticed that a minority student population located in the impoverished Trans-Himalayan region of Ladakh were failing in the majority of academic courses. Together with his team, they developed a curriculum that taught students to incorporate the information they learned in class to their community. This resulted in the school becoming a site where students could learn about scientific topics such as solar energy and see how it has practical applications, which in the case of solar energy is utilizing it to provide electrical energy for the school. This type of alternative learning improved grades while at the same time empowered the students with technical skills that they would not have been able to receive unless they enrolled in a college. And this school is only one example of how public education institutions are challenging the issues of elitism by engaging students to learn practical skills and put them to work before they actually enroll in a college or university, all for the benefit of their community. Looking beyond the Indian educational system, what are the implications of knowing more about this foreign system? One thing to consider is competition at the level of college admissions. As it was noted before, due to limited space in the institutions of higher education in India, many students are looking towards other nations to meet their educational needs. The thing I want to highlight is not the added competition of foreign students in our college admissions process. Instead, it should be considered a vivid picture of a potential future for the educational system of the United States. Currently, under national law, all students under the age of 18 are allowed to attend school free of charge. In recent years, we have noted that there has been a surge in the number of applications for colleges and universities. This increased number is causing universities to become more selective when it comes to their admissions process, and should this trend continue, the United States could find itself in a scenario very similar to that of India, where there are a limited number of seats available for an overqualified pool of applicants. The solution that some elementary and secondary schools in India are adopting, such as placing emphasis on technical skills training, could prove a valuable model for the U.S. educational system to follow. While similar to many of the Western educational styles of learning, India is developing its own unique style of educating its citizens. Focused on a more practical approach towards education, it has proven to be capable of empowering some of its most impoverished regions in a short period of time. This lean towards practicality gives the people of India the ability to be self-reliant and further bridge the gap between the economic elite and the low-income class. While India might be limited in its ability to accommodate some of its educated population in colleges and universities, this drive for students to pursue higher education compels them to look outside of their home nation to find their place, and in doing so they are bringing their culture and experiences with them, thus adding to the interconnections of our globalized world.